All right, so this is section 2 of 5 for the QuickBook Online Certification Exam. And the first thing we're going to start off with the accountant or business view. So how can you switch from accountant view to business view in your QuickBook Online account? Note, you may need to zoom in to be able to see it at the bottom of the screen. So you're going to go to the gear icon and then you would switch to business view. So let me show you that. So here I am in my QBOA. And if I come over here to the gear icon, down here I'd be able to click on switch to business view. But if you didn't have a full screen, I've seen it on some of my students who have smaller laptop or Chromebooks, they're not able to see it, you'd be able to just zoom in then at the bottom. And here's another screenshot, and this is a question in there, and you need to know this information in your notes. You must select either accountant or business view when you create a new QuickBooks company. All right, so here's a list of different users. You have your company administrator, standard user, time tracking only, and reports only. So I'll leave that for a second so you can write some notes down. And then there's several questions on users in this section. So here's one. Which option would a client select in their Manage User screen to give their worker access to create invoices but not print checks in their QuickBook Online company? And then I have here, just to let you know, it's gear icon, your team, or QBOA account. It would be team in your navigation pane. And I'll show you that in a second. Well, the answer to that is standard users, limited customers. Now I want to show you real quick. So if you have a QBOA account, you come right over here to team, and then you would see that. But let's say if you didn't and you have a plus account, one of my viewers that have a plus account, under here you would see your team, and it would bring you to the same thing. Then you would go to add user and fill out, and then once you click next, that's where it would send you to the different features that you would select for your users. So the next one. In the overview tab of the client list, what filter can be applied to only show clients assigned to a specific team member? That would be lead. What user type is appropriate for nonprofit companies that need to provide reporting access to their board members? So the key here is reporting. And as we saw with those 4 different users, obviously the one would be report only user. A client wants leads to save their notes in the client's details screen. Who would have access to those notes? All team members given access to that particular client's info. Which 2 team user roles have permission to view and search for apps using the Apps tab in the QBOA? That would be the primary admin and full access user. Here's a random app question. I wasn't sure if this really is in this section, but here's a random app question that I saw thrown in here in section 2. How can an accountant user connect to an app to a client's QBO? You'd go to the navigation pane side, apps, go to search app, and then get app now. That's something I showed you in a video in one of my 2020 videos. Payroll QuickBooks Time. So QuickBooks Time offers the flexibility to allow people to clock in and out in all common types of workspace. The following are the 4 current options. So this is if you decide to go with the QuickBook Payroll option. And there's 4 different ones. If you notice, and I'll leave that up here so you can see the different descriptions, but if you notice 2 of them I made a little larger, and that's manual time card and time clock kiosk. And that's because a student told me there was a question asking about different types of features under QuickBooks Time, and those were the 2 out of the selection there. I will say this, many of the clients that I have set up that have tried the QuickBooks Payroll haven't been very happy with it and decided to go with their third-party payroll options. I think this is something that we'll see in the next couple of years. Features are going to change. So the questions obviously will change with the certification exam in this particular section. We have a few of them though. So here are our 3 QuickBooks Online payroll options. You have the core subscription, premium subscription, and the elite subscription. So you could stop right here on the slide and write down the features. Here's a few questions on there. What are 2 features QuickBooks Time Elite has that Premium does not? The ability to geofencing and the ability to analyze project estimates versus actuals. Here's another question. Which 2 QuickBooks Online payroll subscription levels include QuickBooks Time? That would be Premium and Elite. As we saw, Core was very basic. Here's another payroll question. What 3 of these features are benefits of QuickBooks Online Payroll Premium? Same-day direct deposit, expert review, and access to QuickBooks Time Premium. Again, that very first screen where I had the 3 options, you can get all these answers from that one chart. Emailing invoices. A client would like his customer to see a full invoice detail from within the email itself and have a PDF attached. Where would he navigate to make this change? This is actually something that I showed you in a video in 2020 on how to do, so I'm not going to do that this time. But you can go back to my 2020 videos if you'd like to see some. I have a couple of the questions that I repeated, even though I didn't anticipate to, but I said, okay, I'll do it. So here you would go to the gear icon, and then custom form styles, go to edit template, select emails, and then from there you see how your emails appear how your invoice appears in email. And you would select to attach it. Here's customizing invoices. Another thing I went over in a 2020 video. Which 3 options for customizing invoices can you access via the custom form styles invoice template? You can add a logo, you can change invoice fonts, and you can change invoice color schemes. I can say I decided to put this question in again because they did change the wording a little bit from the question they had in 2020. QuickBooks Payments. The bill pay experience is available in QuickBooks Online Essential, Plus, and Advanced. It's also available in QBOA. Where does the client initiate the setup of the QBO payments? You go to Gear icon, Accounts and Settings, and then the Payments tab. That's something I went through in 2020 video. Paying bills powered by Melio. Now this is a new one. Bill Pay powered by Melio is a free integrated payment solution that allows QBO users to pay business bills from anywhere. It makes managing cash flow and paying bills easier. Bill Pay powered by Melio allows you to fund payments to vendors using which 3 methods? You want to have this in your notes. Debit card, ACH bank transfer, and credit card. Where would your client navigate to view the status of a bill payment that was paid using Melio? Open bill payment and then view online payment. Sales tax. When first setting up sales tax for a client, what information will be pre-populated? And that's the business address. If you looked at my videos, chapters 1 through 10 in my last class, you see that it's actually very important because you're going to want to have that based on location. Here's another sales tax question. In QBO, what 4 data points do you need to set up sales tax for a client who only does business in their home state? Their company address, when they started collecting sales tax for the agency, how often they must file a tax return, and their last tax period when they started their last tax period. And then as far as how often they file a tax return, that really probably depends on how long they've been in business. Now, the example we had, if you chose to look at the chapters 1 through 10 and the example I gave, we did it quarterly. But often when a company very first starts, they might ask you to do it on a monthly basis. QBO payments. What two are correct regarding setting up QuickBooks payment account for a client? The accountant should not be the primary owner of the client's QBO payment account. They don't want that to be the accountant. That should be the owner. The other one is the primary admin of the QBO company should connect the QuickBooks payments. And then you always request that the owner is the primary admin of the QBO account. Banking. We have quite a few banking questions. What if a client's bank information in their email was compromised and they need to update their banking password or passwords? Where would you direct them to go to update their bank info in QBO? They would go to Bank Center, Banking tab, they select Account tile, then they'd click on the pencil icon, and they would edit their sign-in info. OAuth. OAuth stands for Open Authorization. It means that your client no longer must provide their username and password after initial setup because it's stored. So, if you see a question, what connection method eliminates the need to provide a bank username and password after the initial setup process? The answer would be OAuth. Here's another question with the OAuth. What two statements are true when creating an OAuth bank connection in QBO? Most banks require that the primary account holder establish the OAuth connection to the bank. The other one is not all banks and financial institutions support the OAuth bank connection. I just had a client do it, and they had Bank of America, so I know that for sure they're one of them. Importing vendors. There's an option to get your client's vendors into QuickBooks Online by importing them in bulk from a spreadsheet file. The option to import data is available both from the Vendors tab in Expenses or from the gear icon and then import data, just like you would with customers or product and services. You can import vendors with an Excel, CSV, or Google Sheets file. So here are your three options, and if you notice I have two of them bold because I believe those are the two you might see as an option. So here are our three options. We can either go to the gear icon, import data, and then select vendors, or we can go on the navigation pane, select expenses, and then vendors, and then select new vendor where you would manually put in the vendor information. Or the last one would be expenses, select vendors, and then if you go to the drop-down button, you would see import vendor from the drop-down button. That's a new feature. It hasn't been added yet, but I put that there just in case in the future they add that to the question. So make sure you have that in your notes. Vendors. When creating vendors, you should use a zero opening balance. I say that to students, clients all the time. But there is an option to add one with a non-zero balance. So what does QBO automatically create to record the balance owed when you are adding a vendor with a non-zero opening balance? Well, they automatically would create a bill for you. Here's another vendor question. Which field is required when importing vendors? The vendor name. Preferred vendors. When setting up a product service item, what box needs to be selected to assign a preferred vendor? So in my last video, I showed you where we went to sales and product and service, and we created, I think it was a inventory or a non-inventory. And then when we scroll down all the way to the bottom, you would have to select, I purchased this product service from a vendor in order to open up the option to assign a preferred vendor. So that's the answer. I purchased this product service from a vendor. Tracking a 1099 form. So how can a client track payments made to a 1099 contractor or / vendor in QBO? This is something I showed in one of my 2020 videos. You would need to click the check mark. There's a box there that says track payments for 1099, and that would be found in your vendor information screen. So the answer would be you would check track payments for 1099 in the vendor information screen. Again, I have that in one of my previous videos where I show you how to do that. How do we link a bank account? So here are the steps. You would go to the banking center from your navigation pane. If it's the first time, you would select Connect. Otherwise, if it's not the first time, you would select Link Account. You would select the bank that's already there, or you would sign in, and that you would do that just as if you were going onto your online banking site with the password and username. Then you would select the bank account from the chart of accounts that's already there, or you would add new and give that bank account a new name. And then you would choose the account type and the detail type if you were adding new. You would give the account a name and then you would save. So here's a question. Where should you go to link a new bank account in a client's QBO company? Bank Center. Importing customers. We just talked about importing vendors. It's the same exact thing. So there's an option to get your clients, customers into QBO by importing them in bulk through a spreadsheet. This option, you can either import data, or you can go to the Customers tab in Sales, and you can manually put it in, or you can go to the drop down and go Import Customers. And here's the thing, you'll see this in a couple of questions, I have a feeling, and they're changing them all the time. You can import customers with an Excel, CSV, or Google Sheet file. You're going to see the same thing for vendors and product and services. So here are some of the answers you might see. I put these two in bold because that's what they have now, but this third one is a new option, so you might see it in the future. What are your 3 options in importing customers? 1, you can go to the gear icon and go to import data and select customers. Or in the navigation pane, you can go to sales, go to customers, and hit the green new customer button. Fill out the new customer information box. Or you can go to sales. This is the new one, which I'm telling you, still put in your notes because I think it might be added soon. Go to sales, go to customer, and then in the new customer, you'll see a drop down button and you would select import customer. And then here's our last one, file type. You can import customers, and I've said this in 2 of my slides already with vendors and customers, but here this also goes with product and services. You can import customers, vendors, or product and services with an Excel, CSV, or Google Sheets file. So if you see the following question, when importing a customer or any of the other 2, for the first time, which of these file types could you use to import your customer list? And out of that list, you're going to see XLSX, and that would be for anything after 2008 for Excel, and you would select that file for Excel. But again, I don't know if questions may change. You must also take into consideration CSV and Google Sheets file as an option. All right, so that would conclude section 2 of 5, and I would say give me a week to get section 3 up. Good luck.